Heyo everyone! Let's get bricky.
Hey everyone, I'm MacGyver. Welcome to something very sort of new, very sort of different for this channel that you've not seen before. Sort of. What that is recently my friend Zach and I, past couple months, gotten together a couple times. Awesome. Easiest way to describe it is imagine it's if you've ever played Pokemon, the actual card game, instead of just collecting them. It's like that for adults essentially. A lot more rules, a lot more cards and everything and whatnot. You don't have like the basics like 800 different Pokemon. Nah, you've got tons of cards with wonderful, beautiful artwork and a very wonderful, awesome game. And my friend Zach and I recently got back into it a little bit. We basically had a couple. He was thinking of the idea for at least his channel, maybe, which he might come back to. If you guys are a fan of his, keep for the lookout, possibly, maybe, who knows. But that he and I had the idea of we have quite a few custom decks. He has a ton, and I have a couple that I really like. Quite a few of them need a lot of work, but I really like a couple of these guys. And we had the idea of posting what's in them, how we sort of made them and everything, what goes into the guys. And so that is what I'm going to do here today, is I'm going to show off a couple of, in this video I'm only going to do one, but I have quite a few decks that I want to sort of show off and sort of how I made them, why, and yeah, that way you guys have an idea. You guys have an idea of sort of how to build them yourselves if you're thinking of doing it, how I do it if you want to have the same deck to play. Yeah, we'll go with that. This is very much ad-libbed, top of the head. So, first one we are going to be doing is one that you guys have probably already seen on the channel. If you have seen any of the Magic the Gathering duels my friend Zach and I did many years ago, and that is my Sliver deck. And I have it done in this way that to help myself, but what this is it's a red-green Sliver deck. For those of you who have never played Slivers before, Slivers are a specific creature in the Magic the Gathering universe, to where they're very much like, best way to put it is it's almost like they're a hive mind creature, to where the biggest thing about the Sliver creatures is that you'll see in a moment is one creature will buff every other creature that's a Sliver. So to give you just a very general idea, this one here, the Predatory Sliver, for every Sliver you control, he gets +1/+1. So it's this one and every other Sliver creature you have out on the battlefield. And that is the biggest thing about Slivers, is each one has a different ability that applies to all of them. They're very much a creature that if you know how to play them, the game can go in your balance very quickly, or it can get out of hand very fast if you're on the opposing side. Very similar to Eldrazi, but without the mana ramp or mana curve of getting out your guys. Plus you don't have to worry about the Scions. I like Slivers personally, and I also have more of them. Which is why I made this deck is, when my friend pointed it out to me, I started looking through my deck and noticed, because of the year and all of the boosters, I had a ton of red and green Slivers. Decided to try and make a deck. This was probably my third or fourth deck I made. The first one or two went bad. The third and fourth one were, and this one I really love to play. So I'll be breaking it down into bits and pieces of what's in it for you guys. So first one, all of the green Slivers. I actually don't have that many actual different Slivers, because like most of this deck, I only really had like one or two of any single card. But I very much build a deck around a lot of the mechanics in the cards versus how much I have. Because for custom decks, basic rule of thumb is you cannot have more than 4 of the same card. So, like here, I only have one of these Mana Stress Slivers. And what this does is, for all Sliver creatures, tap it and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So you can tap a creature for mana. Really nice. I only had 1 of them. However, I got 4 of these predatory slivers, which gives your creatures +1/+1. Very good, very nice. But then I only have 1 of these, what's it called? A Megantic Sliver here, which gives all of them +3/+3. Really good, but it's a 1 forest 5 cost. It's a 6 cost card. Very hard to get late game, but I'll sort of explain why I still keep them in here. The other one being Ground Shaker Sliver. This is the 7 cost. Really hard to get onto the playing field until like turn 7 or 8 if you're lucky. But this one gives all 7 creatures trample. It's 5/5. Absolutely great card. But as you can see there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 creatures. Only 8 creatures for one side of it. Now, some of that is made up of the fact that I do have 3 Sliver constructs. And what that is it's still a Sliver, but it's an artifact creature, which basically means you can pay any 3 mana for it. It doesn't have any extra abilities for it, which isn't bad. For a 3 cost unit, it's not bad because it's still going to have all of the other modifiers from all the other cards applying to it, which is wonderful. And that brings us to the red creatures, which still may not actually seem like a whole lot, but I actually had a lot more of the red than I did the green. And the red ones I really enjoy because for 1 cost I got 3 striking slivers, which gives them all first strike. Really good, because first strike means is if I'm in a battle and I'm attacking with these, what it means is this is 1/1 cost. So if my opponent has something with only 1 defense or 1 strength, power strength, 1 strength, I'm going to kill that creature before it attacks me, which means my creature will still live while his dies, or whatever my power is on here. I deal the damage first, which hopefully will kill my opponent's creature before it will attack me, which can be a real lifesaver for you. So luckily I had 3 of them. Really wonderful. Excellent. I only had 1 of these, and this was the card that actually introduced me to Slivers because I misread the description of this card. And that is the Belligerent Sliver, which is Sliver creatures you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. The problem I had with this card is the first time reading it, Sliver and Silver look a lot alike, and as you can see, it has the silver or gray little sort of expansion icon for it. And that's what I figured is any of these that had the silver for whatever the thing was, they got this ability, and then I misread silver for Sliver with silver. So that's what introduced me to them. I was like, oh, interesting. So then I went to look for more. This guy is excellent, but I only got 1 of him. It's 2/2, 3 cost. Really good, but hard to keep on the battlefield, which is why a lot of the spell cards I have in here help with that. Not to mention the green creatures as well, which give you all of the extra power and strength buffs. Got Blower Slivers here, 3 cost, 2/2s. These guys give you haste, which means immediately as you bring it out to the battlefield, you can attack with it, which is awesome. Dealing that damage right away, early on, can be extremely helpful for leaving the battlefield nice and clear. Even if you don't really have attackers, it's really nice. Last ones I have is a 5 cost. These are Battle Slivers. Gives you a +2 in power, +0 in strength. So, not so much for defending, but that's fine because I'm very much one to where if I'm attacking, I want tick for tack. I die, I'm taking you down with me. And +2/+0, that automatically makes this +5 and makes this a 5/3. May not seem like a lot, but even mid-game, really good unit. And that's it. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 9 red creatures there. So between all of them, it's not a lot. So normally when you build a custom deck, you want it 20 creatures, about 20 or so spells, 20 land. That's how you play it. If you're creating a custom deck, that's sort of like the super easy basic idea of how to think about going about it. Now some of these are very close to that. I sort of kept to that methodology early on, but definitely changed after a while, and I can sort of see that in this deck. But yeah. Anyways, moving on to the spell cards. A lot of the times when I do spell cards, this deck I could definitely tell I spent a lot more time actually making sure I had cards I wanted versus cards that were good. And I'll sort of explain why. First, you got the 1 cost shock, which deals 2 damage to creature or player. Now, reason why I have 2 of these is, 1, I don't like to have too many of the same spell card. I like to have options and variety always popping up for me. I would actually maybe add 1 more of this, because early on, dealing 2 damage to target creature or player can really keep the battlefield empty for you. Not so much for picking at your actual opponent player's health, but getting their creatures out of the way. The fact that it's an instant, you can play it whenever. Plus it's a 1 cost. Start of the game, you automatically have a 1 cost, unless you're playing some really crazy thing, but really good to have. And to go along with that, I also have 2 volcanic geysers, 2 mountains, and then an X amount of lands, where volcanic geyser deals X damage to target creature or player, X being whatever other mana you play. This is very good late game, 10 or so mana, because after the 2 cost plus the 8, that's 8 damage to deal to target creature or player. That can wipe out almost anything on the board, or if you're running low and you need to really go on the offensive, doing that directly to the player, ooh, that can be a really big stop and rethink strategy for your opponent. I really like this one. It's really hard to do early game. That's why I have the shocks, because if you only have 4 mana, it's only dealing 2 damage. It's not a lot. It's basically the same as shock, but you're paying 4 times the amount of mana. It's very much a mid to late game thing. I don't actually use it a whole lot depending on the game, but it's a good backup security that I enjoy. But to go along with the fact that a lot of these slivers, depending on how you draw, you might not get a whole lot of them, and especially some of the weaker ones that I only have a single one of, especially the one to where it takes 2 creatures or more to block. It's very much why I have here Lightning Talents. It's an enchantment ore which gives +3/+0 and has first strike, which, granted, I do have a sliver that grants first strike, but if I don't have that on the battlefield, giving this one first strike gives it that extra edge when I'm attacking. Makes me feel a bit safer, plus it gives it 3 power. And this is a 3 cost card, so early mid game, this can be a really opposing thing depending on your creature. It can easily make a 2/2 be a 5/2, which may still mean it's easy to kill, but it's going to take anything else down with it. It's really nice. I love enchantment ores because it makes sure even weak creatures can be strong, or make sure that single creatures that are high mana cost can stay in longer because they're so imposing. That's why I actually have a couple green ones that I'll get to in a moment that I have for enchantment ores that definitely buff up the creature's stats. That way I can try and keep them on the playing field as long as possible. But then a very fun mid to late game card I love to play. Doesn't so much go with the fact that my slivers can boost it, but one that I like to put in anytime I play red is Act of Treason. It's 3 cost card. Doesn't cost a whole lot. You can even do this pretty early game. But I don't think it's going to be as beneficial. What it means is gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. which is really, really good. It basically means you can take an opponent's creature. If it's tapped because of attack, you can untap it, and you can basically use it to attack its owner, which is wonderful. That means if your opponent has a giant creature, a 5/5 something or something with trample, it means it has to try and block its own creature or just take that damage straight up if it ain't got any blockers. Either that or he has to hope that he has some way to negate it in his hand and still have mana. Really nice because it's not so much that it's hard to counteract, but it definitely keeps opponents on their toes and may make them waste. Because they may just negate this, which is fine. But that means they're losing more mana to be able to do something else later, that turn, and they can't use that negate later. So, I really enjoy this. I've actually used this, funnily enough, in a couple of funny ways, to where in a 3-on-3 where it's 3 people all against each other, I've used one person's creature to attack the opposite person, which is hilarious because it keeps both people on their toes. And really, really good. Really, really good. Because it also means once you're done attacking, you have to tap the creature to attack. Well, if you do it on a creature that isn't tapped, that player now can't use it to defend if I'm attacking them or somebody else attacks them before their next turn. Which is such strats. I really love Attribution. It's really, really nice. Moving on to the green spell cards. Here I only have, 2 of basically 4 different cards as well. I don't have that many in here, and I think that's partially because, as you can see, got a lot of land. Maybe a bit too much, to be honest. I may need some more sorceries. I'm actually debating about asking my friend Zach about this deck because as much as it's a good deck, I think it could be slightly better. But for here, there's a couple things stand out. First, gigantic growth. +3/+3 till end of turn. Doesn't last super long, but it's a 1-cost card. That means even early game, when you got a 2/2 monster, boom, it's a 5/5. And if he's got first strike, you're wrecking the battlefield. It's really good. It's an instant. You can play it whenever. Even if you're defending, this could save your life, or it could win you the game. It's really, really good, and it's a 1-cost. There's almost no reason not to have it in there, as well as probably the other best green card, 1-cost Fog. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. It's an instant lifesaver, ladies and gentlemen. Instant lifesaver. Fog is so good. If you play a green deck, I recommend that at least 2 of your spell cards is Fog. So 1 cost. It's not going to hurt you at all, mana-wise. Any turn. Don't use it early game. Save it till mid game. Mid to late game. It's going to save you. I love it. But one of the things about red and green slivers is, unless I just don't have one, as you can see, none of them have reach. And none of them can fly. Which means, depending on what I'm going against with my opponent, that's bad. Which is why it's always good to have plummets. And it's almost good to have plummets in any deck that you know you don't have creatures with flying or reach, or ones that don't have an enchantment aura that grants it. If you don't have any of them, I'd say it's a guaranteed must. Keep at least 2 plummets in there. It's 2 cost. Doesn't hurt you at all. Does not hurt you at all. Really good. Destroy target creature with flying. Done. Easy. Doesn't matter. It's an instant. Play it whenever. Mid game. Early game. Late game. Good card. 2 cost. Plummet. Get it in there. Really, really good. Then we got Trollhide. Another enchantment or 3 cost. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's still, pretty early stages of the game. Enchantment creature. It's +2/+2. And this is the better part, which is key that I always put on all of my slivers I normally have 1 of. 1 colorless, 1 green, regenerate this creature. You got to play it when it dies, otherwise you can't do it. That's how it is, but it can save your behind. It's one of the reasons why I think I have so much mana, is I always try and keep at least, if I have this on a creature, I always keep at least 2 mana safe. No matter what. If I have this on one creature or if I have both of them, I'm always keeping at least 2 mana untapped at the end of every turn. If you got this out, that's the mentality you should go with, because this can save your creature, especially if it's a good buff like can't be blocked by 2 or more creatures. That can be key, or even ones that give it trample or the +3/+3. You put this on one of them, you are golden. Means the other person's going to have to just put all they have at attacking at it every turn, or just wasting their spells to try and get rid of this. Really, really good. I like it. There you go. Basically, that's 8 plus 8, that's 16 in spells, which plus barely like 24-ish, we're at about 50? No, 40. We're at about 40 cards, which does mean that I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 each of red and green lands. It's maybe a bit much because of the fact I do also have 4 red-green split lands. Now, I actually have 3 different types, which technically I don't know if that means I could have 4 of each of these. I go by the fact that if I have 4 red-green splits, that's where I stop at. Which 2 of these being Rugged Highlands. Enters battlefield tapped. When battlefield enters battlefield, you gain 1 life. What's not to like about that? Best thing about this is you want to get this in your hand at the start of the game, because you're not going to be able to use the land for pretty much anything turn 1 unless you're lucky on your slivers. Probably want to wait anyways to turn 2. Plus you get a life early on. Get that up early game, because late game 1 life's not going to mean too much depending on how many damage you're taking. Then we've got, didn't even read this, Gruul Guildgate. Enters battlefield tap it for red or green. Not bad. Does the same thing as the other one, just doesn't give you life. Or you got Rootbound Crag, which enters battlefield tap unless you got a mountain or a forest already. This isn't bad. You want to play this turn 2, because no matter what, you got it. And you automatically got 2 land to play instead of just 1. And that is it, really. That's the Sliver. That's my Christmas deck or my Sliver deck. That is basically how I have it. I have it in these wonderful Gideon sleeves because my friend Zach gifted them to me, and really like this deck, and I don't really plan on like quote unquote destroying it, taking it apart. I might edit it at points, but I really like this deck. I love how it plays. Games can be quick, they can be long. I think I've won more games with this deck than I think any others. It's really nice. I really like it. If you guys want to try it out yourselves, please let me know how it goes if you build this deck exactly. If you guys have a red-green Sliver deck that you have and you like, go ahead, post me what you have. I definitely think I need more spells in there. I really only have 8 on each side of the color, and I have a ton of land. I'm thinking I need to remove 2 basics from each color, so I have 8 of each, plus then the 4, so it would equal out to 20. Definitely think I need a couple more. I don't know if I just need more types of spells, or if I just need to add more of what I already have. Obviously, adding a 3rd or 4th fog even could be life-saving. More enchantments might not be bad, but I'm wondering maybe less for enchantment ores and more for just enchantments for all of my creatures. That might be helpful. It's a little hard to tell because I think it's very well balanced and it plays extremely well. So it's really hard to be like, what does it need? So post in the comments below if you have any suggestions. I don't really go out and buy cards necessarily for my decks. I use what I have. But if you have a suggestion, I'll definitely go and look through my treasure trove. I got a whole like 5-inch binder that I have everything sorted out and that I can look through and see if I got it. But otherwise, that is my red-green Christmas Sliver deck. let me know how you guys liked this video before. I got a couple others coming. Let me know if you like the format. And if you have anything you'd like to see next for this. I hope to do some more battles with my friend Zach and maybe try and video them. We'll have to wait and see. Just have to find time there. He might have some stuff possibly coming. Don't know. I'm not going to say anything definitive. I'm going to leave that to him. But I want to thank you guys also very much for watching. As I have been, Lego MacGyver. And to all of you master builders out there, stay bricky, keep building, and I'll see you all next time.